I'm sorry?
I said we've already gotten enough handouts.
Yeah, I figured. You put it in your swag bag? Right. So, if you haven't read the bio, my name is Hugh Hollowell. I am the pastor and director at Love Wins Ministries. Love Wins Ministries is probably best defined by what we don't do, or by what we're not. Because it's true that because of our work, in the last 12 months, some 18 people have went from chronic homelessness to permanent housing. And we're not a housing ministry. It's true that this weekend we will share over 450 meals, hot meals, to people with dignity and respect. And we are not a feeding ministry. In 2014, we distributed well more than 2 tons of clothing to people who needed clothing. And we're not a clothing ministry. So what we see ourselves as is a ministry of presence and pastoral care to the homeless and at-risk community of Raleigh. Or, as my buddy Vern says, we're kind of a church. I said, kind of a church? He said, well, churches generally have better music. Make out of that what you will. So I've been very blessed for the last 9 years to get to work in this community. Pastoring people who don't have anywhere to go. One of them said, I was the preacher of last resort. They don't let you have much ego, these people. Another person said that Love Wins is where they go when where they normally go won't let them in. Which is both affirming and frustrating all at the same time. So in my 9 years of working intentionally and closely with people who are experiencing homelessness, we have learned a few things about homelessness that I want to share with you. I forget her name, Mike. The lady to my left on the panel, she was from Philadelphia. Huh? Yes. She said that often we want to treat homelessness as if it's a sin problem, right? And so I have seen that, and I think that what we do is those of us who are on the political or theological right generally want to treat homelessness as if it's a character issue or a moral issue, right? People are lazy, people are scammers, people need Jesus, like whatever the thing, there's something wrong with them, which is why they're homeless. Now, on the left, we're no better because we say that homelessness is a policy problem, okay? And so if we only vote for the right person, if we can extend health care, if we can make the minimum wage higher, if we can all vote for whoever we're all voting for this week, like if we can just do these things, then it goes away. So if the right says that homelessness is caused because there's something wrong with them, then on the left we say that homelessness is caused because there's something wrong with us as a society. And I think that those are both aspects of the truth. What I have come to see is that homelessness is first and foremost about community. If you think of all of the reasons you are never afraid of ending up on the street tonight, it comes down to the numbers in your cell phone. It comes down to the people you could call. If you were to leave home tonight, leave here tonight and pull up in your driveway and your house has burned down, and this, of course, was the day you left your wallet at home and it burned up with it. And as I'm describing this scenario, you are making a list in your head. Well, I could call Ralph and I could call Frank, and Jimmy would lend me $1,000 until I could get this straightened out, and Mary would let us sleep on their couch. You're making that list. The opposite of homelessness is not housedness. The opposite of homelessness is community. And so, I want to talk a little bit, as I said, I want to give you a framework for understanding homelessness and how we combat it. Now, I want to point out up front, there's at least one PhD in the audience, and so I want to point out that this is not the definitive explanation of homelessness. This is a framework. It's a trellis. It's a way of understanding homelessness. So with that caveat in place, I want us to walk through the model. Now, picture yourself as you are now, and picture yourself if you were, as you imagine what homelessness looks like. Okay? And so over here is you now, and over here is you, your vision of what homelessness would be like. We're not going to argue whether it's an accurate vision or not. The big thing I want you to look at is the difference. The things that are missing in the picture of you as someone experiencing homelessness. Homelessness is best understood as a series of losses that pull us, that withdraw us from community. Homelessness is not about not having a home. Homelessness is about isolation from community. Let's walk through it. So, you're homeless. By definition, you lost your home, right? Yeah. I mean, like by definition, if you're homeless, I mean, we didn't call you jobless. By definition, you lost your home. Okay, but that wasn't your first loss. So why did you lose your home? Probably because you lost the ability to pay for it. Okay? And so you lost your income, and you probably lost your income because you lost your... There you go. See? Y'all were jumping ahead of me. So let's just start there. I would argue there were losses that preceded that, but let's just start right there. If you were to lose your job, think about what the sociologists call the attendant losses. The losses you lose at the same time. So if I lost my job, I lost the need to wake up at 6:30 in the morning. I lost the witty banter with the barista at Starbucks on the way in. I lost fighting for my place in line to drop the kids off. I lost needing to have my clothes ironed, if that's your thing. I lost getting greeted by the security guard at the front desk at work. I lost all those things and traded them for I'm sitting at home in my four walls feeling isolated. So we're at 8 o'clock. Somewhere around 10 o'clock, you lost a coffee break and the chatting with people around the water cooler. At lunchtime, you lost going to lunch with one of your coworkers. You lost being greeted by the people at Moe's when you walk in. Have y'all ever done that? Welcome to Moe's, right? You go into Moe's Burritos and they yell, "Welcome to Moe's." So, true story. I will walk in and they're like, "Welcome to Moe's," and I'll step out and I'll step back in. And my wife by now is hiding. You know, and by the third time you do that, they throw things at you. I'm just, FYI, you're good for twice. So, but you lost that. You lost having, you might know because of Facebook, like what happened in Syria yesterday. But who are you going to talk to about it? You lost the interaction. You also lost the answer to the question, what do you do? Well, I used to do this. See, already you're beginning to lose your place in society. So you lost your job, you lost your income. Now, some things happen between losing your income and losing your house. So you're out of money. You know you're going to be evicted if you can't pay the rent or pay the mortgage or the rent. What do? You call everyone you know, right? You exhaust all of your resources. So if you're homeless, that means by definition you have exhausted your resources, right? No one says, Frank would give me $20,000, but I can't be bothered to call him. I'm going to go live in a tent. Right? Like, so you have exhausted your resources. Maybe Frank is tired of answering the phone when you call. Maybe it's just awkward as all kind of get out because you've had to borrow before. So now you've lost your connection with your relationships. Okay? Now, some people are saying, well, I have a family. Right now you do. It is theoretically possible for you to remain partnered or coupled and be homeless. It happens. However, unlike the Hunger Games, the odds are not in your favor. Okay? What is more than likely going to happen is that the loss of the income accelerates the loss of the relationship. Because it becomes an amplifier. And one person can blame the other person for their lot and circumstances. So you lose your spouse. Well, what happened to the kids? The kids are going to go to the partner with the best support network. And if you're on the streets, it wasn't you. Just FYI. So you've lost your family, lost your kids, lost your job, lost your place in society, lost the answer to what do you do, lost witty banter and weak tie connections with your surroundings. It's time. Tomorrow they're going to come take the house. Tomorrow is your last day. 15 times in the last 9 years, the next scene has played out in front of me. So this isn't made up. I have seen this. I know what's going to happen your last night in your place. You don't have anywhere to take the furniture. Honestly, you probably owe money on the furniture. If you have a car, this is what's going to happen. You're going to go to the liquor store. It's always the liquor store. They have the good boxes. And you're going to get a box. And it's going to be a box with a lid. It might be the kind with the foldy flaps, so you can do that thing, you know, where you like pull it up and push it in. But it's going to have a lid. And you're going to take the box and you're going to put it on the dining room table. And in the box, you're going to put everything that matters. You're going to put the flag from when they buried Granddad. You're going to put your grandmother's baptismal gown, the baby pictures of the kids, Grandma's ashes. Your list might be different, but that's the sort of thing that's going in the box. You're going to fold the top down on the box, and the next morning when you leave, you're going to carry it out with you and put it in the trunk, and you're going to drive away. 15 times I've seen that. Almost, it's like there's a common playbook. Remember that box. We'll come back to it later. The good news, you say, is at least I have a car. You're not going to keep the car. One of several things that's going to happen. One is you owe money on the car. They will find you. We used to joke that if the U.S. really wanted, this was dates myself, But if the U.S. really wanted to know where the terrorists were, they should get Blockbuster involved, because Blockbuster could find you if you had stolen a video from them. Like put Blockbuster after Bin Laden. But second to that is the repo man. The repo man will find you. So they might repo your car. Or maybe you don't owe money on it. And one day you run out of gas, and you're going to run out of gas at an inconvenient location. Or maybe you just need a simple part. It's going to break down at an inconvenient location. And you're going to tell yourself, I'm going to go talk to Harry, or I'm going to like whatever, I'm going to go try to fix this. And while you're off trying to fix that, they're going to tow your car. If you last 3 months with your car, you will be like just so far beyond the odds, it's unreal. Okay? But wait, what was in the car? The bots. The bots. Now here's the thing. They're not going to let you get the bots. The bots is gone. I mean, unless you want to pay $75 towing and $120 a day of storage. But remember, you couldn't afford gas for your car. The car's gone. The box is gone. Everything you didn't have on you when you were off trying to fix this is gone. The car was probably where you were planning on sleeping tonight. So now your future is gone. Everything got dumped out, literally and metaphorically. A kind, helpful person will tell you about the clothing closet you can go to. At the clothing closet, you can be handed clothes whose primary qualification is that they are roughly your size. It doesn't matter if you look bad in orange. It doesn't matter if you don't like football. I have a friend who's a missionary in Africa who says that he doesn't follow football, but he always knows who lost the Super Bowl. Because they're the ones, those are the clothes that get donated. So you're going to get clothes that you wouldn't have went into a store and picked out. You go to the soup kitchen to eat, and you're served meals that no one has ever went into a restaurant and ordered. If I'm lying, I'm dying. I was one time served in a soup kitchen chicken hot dog lasagna. Now that's not chicken, hot dog, lasagna, which, as bad as that sounds, this was chicken hot dog lasagna. Lasagna, somebody said, you know, this will be good. Actually, they didn't say that. You know what they said? Beggars can't be choosers. Right. What you realize is you just lost your right to choose. Think of all the choices you've made today. Odds are no one laid out the shirt for you that you're wearing. You chose that one. You chose to shower or not. You chose to wear the red shirt or the blue shirt. If you drove here, you chose which path to take. If you have the GPS, because you're not from here, the GPS gives you options and tells you this path is 2 minutes longer than this path. You go into Starbucks on your way here, because if you're like me and you have this monkey on your back named Caffeine, and you go into Starbucks, and I one time figured it out, and there's something like 753 permutations of coffee that you could possible combinations that you can get at Starbucks. 753. It might be more than that now because we're in decorative gourd season. But right? I mean, you know, you put the shellac vegetables on the table. Right. So,
I love it.
blammo, see my shellac fruit. So, 753 options at the Starbucks. When you go to the soup kitchen, they ask you if you want coffee or not. And if you say yes, they hand you a cup already filled. And if you say, I want sugar, they'll pour it in for you to meter it out. If I just get drip coffee at Starbucks, like I've got like 8 options over at the little free table over there. We have so many choices. Being homeless means if you stay in the shelter, it means waking up when they tell you you have to get up. It means showering when they tell you to shower. And in Raleigh, it means being kicked out at 7:30. And you have to carry everything you own with you. Being homeless means you lose your choice. You go to the soup kitchen and you say, wait a minute, I'm kind of gluten intolerant. We laugh at that.
Yeah.
But if the gluten intolerance is not a class thing, as some people presuppose, but actually a physical reaction, then a serious number of people who are experiencing homelessness are gluten intolerant. And what do you get when you go to the soup kitchen? All kind of bread. All kind of bread, right? But hey, beggars can't be right. So, what? You have irritable bowel syndrome? I'm really sorry. This is what we have. You're Muslim and don't eat pork? I'm sorry. This is what we have. You're vegetarian? I'm sorry. This is what we have. You lost the right to choose. So, I mentioned a minute ago, you got kicked out of the shelter at 7:30 in the morning. Where are you supposed to go? There's nowhere you're allowed to be. Being homeless means that no one is ever glad you show up. You don't get the welcome to Moe's experience. I bought gas on the way up here this morning, and the woman behind the counter said, I hope to see you soon, as I was going out the door. Granted, some of that's mercenary. I gave them money. They gave me gasoline. But I would argue that everywhere other than at your house, and we can even extend it to there, everywhere you're allowed to be involves money. Think about where you go. You go to the restaurant. They don't serve you for free. In fact, they have the sign on the door, right, that says bathroom is for customers only. That means it costs money to be there. You go to the mall. You can hang out in the mall for a little while, but eventually, security is going to tell you you've got to move on, especially if you haven't showered in a couple of days. I did this one time in a place and in a church basement, and they said, well, the church isn't like that. And I said, do you go to church? Because churches are often about money. If you don't believe me, think about what you do to a newcomer who comes for the first time and you offer to take them out to dinner afterwards at a restaurant that they can't afford to be at. It's about money. Or you've had the experience of coming in and smelling kind of off, and you sit down and the people slide down the pew. Or take their kid, which is worse, take their kid and move their kid away from you. Everywhere you're allowed to be involves money. The only place you can remotely, and this involves like a degree of belief in socialism, the only place you can make an argument that is open to the public and you're allowed to be there and not exchange money is pretty much the library. Okay? Which is why there's lots of homeless people at the library. Being homeless means you're not allowed to be there. It means you're not welcome. It means that if we're keeping score, we've lost our job, we've lost our social interactions, we've lost our network of friends, we've lost our income, we lost our spouse, our children, we lost our house, we lost our car with the bots, we lost all of our clothes, we lost our choice, right? We lost the right to be somewhere. I don't have a rated G version way of saying this, but if you spend enough time being homeless, eventually you're going to poop in the woods. Okay? You're just going to. In the entirety of the downtown Raleigh, there is exactly one bathroom that's open to the public with no strings attached. One. So you start planning your day around access to the bathroom. So I'm going to go out to the Social Security office, and they have a bathroom there, and it's a 20-minute bus ride, so I can do that. But and I could go over here afterwards, but they don't have a bathroom, so I got to come back. You start planning your day around access to plumbing. And you're going to screw it up. So eventually you're going to end up having to use a bathroom in a less than convenient place. Hygiene, let's just leave it there. Hygiene becomes much more difficult at this point. And you become visibly homeless. People start noticing that you smell. They walk to the other side of the room when you come in. You're coming down the sidewalk and they walk to the other side. Eventually, you might start to believe them. You start to believe the things that they say about you, that you're lazy. If you weren't lazy, why wouldn't you shower like I do? I've heard that before. Eventually, you start to lose your self-respect. One of the things that you lose early on, once you become visibly homeless, one of the things you lose early on is your name. You're not Frank anymore. You're not Sheila anymore. You're hey you. You're hey you bum. Real quick funny story and sad all at the same time. I have a lot of friends who fly signs. That's the name for it when you see someone with a sign, right? Like, we'll work for food. Homeless, God bless, whatever. We call it flying a sign. I was at Walmart. The Walmart on New Bern Avenue is like a big, good place to fly a sign, right? And so whenever I'm over there, I see someone I know. So I often will walk down and just chat with them while they're flying a sign. So I'm down there. He's sitting on the curb. It's hot. It's like August. I sit down next to him. He's holding a sign up. He's kind of taking a break. He's not like actively working it, but hey, while you're sitting here, you might as well hold the sign. And so we're sitting there, and this car peels out of the Walmart parking lot with the window rolled down and yells, "Get a job, you bums!" and throws a fountain drink at us, right? And it lands on the ground, splashes up on us, or whatever. It was disgusting. And so I turned to Frank and I said, "Frank, are you okay?" And Frank's like looking after the car as it peels off into the distance. I said, "Frank, are you okay?" He said, "Hugh, did you see that?" I said, "Yeah, they threw a drink." He's like, "No, man, there was a Jesus fish on that car." And so I'm like, I'm preparing myself, right, to talk about like hypocrisy. And I said, "Yeah." And he said, "I bet they stole that car."
Wow.
Which I thought was the most generous thing I have ever heard anybody say. But you start to lose your self-respect, right? So that's how homelessness happens. That's the process. The framework I want you to understand is that homelessness is really about loss more than it is anything else. And so every once in a while, it'll hit the news, someone famous or deserving is discovered as being homeless. Okay? A couple of years ago, there was this radio DJ that was found up north, right? Like up like Ohio or whatever. And somebody recognized him, and it went viral. And like this man with the amazing voice who is begging, right? And it went crazy on the news, and sure enough, somebody steps in and they offer him a house, and they offer him this, and they offer him that, and like, boom, instantly, like he's not homeless anymore, except 3 months later he was. Okay? In the Exodus story, the Israelites, preacher habit, you got to weave the Bible in. In the Exodus story, the Israelites are freed from their captivity. And they are wandering through the desert and saying, we want to go back. We want the safety and security of back there. They were free, but they were not liberated. Okay? So, all too often, I said on my talk, on the panel this morning, that we want to fix things, right? And we think that we have the solutions to fixing things. And so, if only we could get people in housing, or if only we could get people in jobs. And if you were keeping track, they lost like 20 things after they lost their job. And if you don't start over here with the things they most recently lost, you might free them, but you are not liberating them. So the good news is, for those of us in the church, the good news is it's much easier to restore someone's dignity than it is to restore someone's house. It's much easier to restore someone's choice than it is to restore someone's job. People are not helpless. If you give someone dignity and choice and let them make their own decisions, most of us make the best decision we can, given the options we have available. I know a lot of people in the inner city, and I know a lot of crack dealers. And I've never seen anyone make the decision, crack dealer or go to Harvard? Crack dealer. Right? That doesn't happen, right? You pick crack dealer because you don't have better options than that. So we work to restore people's options. You work to restore their choice. It's little things. When they come into your soup kitchen, do they get to choose what beverage they want? Do they get to pick whether they get the chicken or the pasta? Do they even get to serve themselves? I really like the choice model of food pantry, because again, I might not like I will eat peanut butter with my fingers out of the jar. Let's just be honest. But my wife, not so much. You're wasting resources if you give our family peanut butter, because she isn't going to eat it. So we work in reverse. Okay? You work to restore dignity. You work to restore choice. Let people decide where they get to sit. Let people decide what they get called. At our sign-in sheet, we have a sign-in sheet at Love Wins, despite the fact we don't really have a need for it. Like, there's no government funding that depends on it. Like, we don't keep really good records, so we can't tell you really on any given day how many people were there. But what we have learned is that it's a way of people being able to claim what they want to be called. So her name is Tamika, but she signs Mickey when she comes in. Or his name is Wiley, but he signs in Cowboy. True story. I know one guy, his name is Larry. And I said, first time I met him, I'm like, what's your name? He said, my mama calls me Larry. And I said, well, what's your real name? He said, Larry. That's why my mama calls me that. Like, you idiot. So, I'm not here to tell you how you do that. But we know how to do that. We know how to make people feel welcome. We purport to know something about how we build community. I mean, community and church are almost synonyms, right? We don't talk about our church now. It's trendy to call it our faith community, right? What we have to do is get out of the mode of wanting to fix them and instead figure out how to help restore them to community by restoring the losses that they've suffered. I'm going to stop there. I can go on forever, but I'm going to stop there and let y'all interact if you want.